in your mind's eye, when you're thinking of a healthy church, what does that look like to both of you guys?
It's such a beautiful and potentially complex question.
Being a mum is not separate to my calling. It's a part of my calling, and it's like a high calling, to be honest with you. And I mean, it's definitely not easy. We have 4 kids, and that just straight up, like I'm outnumbered straight away out the gate. So it's not easy, but I will say that I think the fruit of what we've seen over the years of pouring into them, not just like separately, but showing them by the way that we live.
Even in its imperfections, I'm not going to allow anything of a bitterness or anger or frustration to grab hold. I'm not saying those things don't come. I mean, we've had these conversations, there is potential for bitterness always for absolutely everyone. There is potential to, get angry or this or that. But I don't want any of that to grab a hold of my heart, of my mind, of my spirit, of my thinking.
Welcome to the Collective Talk Podcast Season 2, where we share all things prayer, family, and ministry. On this episode of the Collective Talk, we'll be sharing all about building the house and a heart for the church. We have special guests and our friends with us today, Ben and Lucille Houston, and my husband, Mark Francey, which I'm so excited to be on the show. So can you help me welcome my friends and my husband, Mark Francey, to the show? We're so excited that you guys are here.
We made it.
We made it.
Season 2.
Let's go.
And you guys are on season 2. This is awesome.
And the first one, we feel honored.
Yes.
Kicking it off.
And this new set, this is awesome.
Yes,
so we get to be here with you guys. Well, I am so excited to have you guys on the show. And I wanted to ask you guys, how did you move to California? And what was that journey like for you guys? And then coming to Oceans, maybe you guys could share a little bit about that. Yeah.
First of all, thank you so much for having us. We absolutely love and adore you guys. It's been a wild ride for us. We are from Australia. That's why we sound a little funny.
Apologies in advance for the accent if you can't understand me. We need subtitles, I feel like.
We're from Australia. My parents planted a church when I was 1, Hillsong Church. And for 40 years of our life, we're part of Hillsong. Absolutely love it. Worked on staff for 20 years. But over 10 years ago now, Lucille and I moved to Los Angeles and we planted Hillsong LA. From that, planted a church in San Francisco and in Santa Ana, Orange County. And over the last few years, been in a couple of years, I would say, been a big season of transition. And it was a year and a half ago that we walked into Oceans Church, into the tents, been to prayer a couple of times, and absolutely just loved, just the presence of the Holy Spirit, and met so many great people. And it's been really awesome over the last year and a half, planting ourselves and our kids, our family in Oceans Church. It's been a great, great, great journey.
It's crazy that you guys have been here for a year and a half. Isn't that hard to...
It feels like forever, and it also feels like yesterday.
Yeah, it does.
That, especially because I feel like whenever you plant yourself in the house of God and you are doing life with people, I feel like some of the people I've met in Oceans, like I've been friends with for 10 years, including you guys.
Yes.
And it's like, wait, a year and a half? Is that it? It's crazy.
I know.
But then a lot has happened in that time as well. So time is kind of wild.
I know when you guys said that, I feel we were talking last night. I couldn't believe it. It's been a year and a half. Yeah. That's insane. But it's so cool.
By the way, I lied to a whole bunch of people when we came.
Yes.
Not intentionally. I didn't realize this.
But
we would be at Oceans and people like, how did you come? And I was like, I've known Mark forever. Mark came to Australia like 15 years ago, and I was telling all these people in the church, I've known Mark a long time. And then over the last, couple of years, we've had coffee and that together. And it wasn't till like a long time after that I was talking with Mark and I was telling him this, when you came to Australia.
Yes.
He's like, that wasn't me. That was your brother Chris.
Yes, my brother-in-law. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That
right.
is so, I never knew that story.
No.
That is
Intentionally
hilarious.
lying.
Yeah. I remember
I
that
love
story.
that you pulled him up on
Ben,
it.
they look so much alike. I have to say.
There you go. Anyway.
They don't look alike, guys.
I remember Chris coming back from that trip and he goes, I was with Ben Houston.
Yeah.
He was hanging out with us the whole time we were at conference, and he was the nicest. Because we obviously had a lot of mutual friends.
Yes.
We would always be in similar circles, but I never had a chance to meet you guys.
Yeah.
And remember when he came home, he goes, "Yeah, Ben was hosting me the whole time," and I said, "What's he like?" He's like, "Man, he's probably the nicest guy." We played golf, I think, together, and there's some things you guys did, and he just said he's the nicest guy I've ever met, and yeah, he was really impressed. But it felt like we knew each other because, again, our worlds were so parallel.
Totally,
for all those years.
Wait, I have to ask this question. Did Chris do good at golf? Probably
That's
not.
100 years ago. Babe.
It's like any,
You've got to remember something.
any
This
good
entire
sister
time I thought it
wants
was
to throw
Mark.
this.
So you maybe not. You wouldn't know. Maybe.
Yeah, but now that I know this, I'm here to tell you guys. I'm
Yeah.
actually leaving Oceans. I'm going to go to Idaho to Chris Church because
Oh my God.
Yes, such a good golfer.
Because he's such
Lures
a
you
good
in.
golfer. Oh my gosh. Well, that's awesome. That's a crazy story. I never heard that before. That's awesome. Well, you guys have the sweetest kids, I have to say. Like when I first met Sav or Savannah, I was like, oh my gosh, she's the sweetest girl ever because she's Kenzie's friend. And then when I met all the rest of your kids, I'm like, they are the best parents because your kids are the sweetest, the kindest kids.
Absolutely.
And so can you tell me, Lucille, about your kids or how many kids you guys have? And
So we have 1,000 children. No, okay, just 4.
Doubled our church.
It's funny though, we've been talking about it, how we know we have 4 kids and we know their names and everything, but getting their birthdays, like when you're lining up in CVS or something, I'm like, don't judge me. I know you're judging me. Just give me a minute. But we have Savannah, who's about to turn 16, actually. We have Lexi, that's 14. Bailey, that is just turned 12. And then our little guy, Blaze, who is 7. And I mean, they are incredible. We're obviously biased, but they've just been up for the journey and the wild ride. Even like moving from Australia to here, we only had the 3 girls. Blaze is the only
Blaze is
American
our little
born.
American.
He'll tell everybody that'll listen, I'm the only American in my family. I'm like,
wait, does he
okay.
have an accent? Or I'm trying to think, does he have an accent? Aussie accent?
In Australia? No, none of them do.
None of them?
They lost their accent so
Yeah, that's
fast.
right. None of them do.
It was actually like a shock to us because we knew they would lose it eventually, but it was like
Yeah.
a few months and then it was gone.
And
And,
it
I
was
was like,
like,
I'm not okay with this. But they're incredible. I think what's so wild is they all have such unique personalities, and we figured out really early on, like they are their own little people and they have their own calling and gifts from God. And it's honestly one of our greatest passions. Like we are passionate about family. And I think that translates through just how much we want to spend time with our kids and pour into them. And I mean, I feel like sometimes I learn more from them than I teach them, to be honest with you. So we're very blessed with our kids.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, they're all awesome. They love sport. They love church. They love their friends. They love music. They're creative. They're just incredible kids. We're so proud of them.
Oh, it's amazing.
I remember when we first had you guys over to our house, I like, Blaze is awesome. I'm like, he is adventure, like he's just awesome.
He was
loved
throwing
it.
backflips.
He was
off
throwing
the
backflips.
ledge.
I was going to say,
failed. Do you
didn't he flip
Yes.
into your pool? I
Yes.
called that though, didn't I?
Yes.
I was like, watch out for the edge there, bud.
So for
Next
those that don't
minute.
know, like we had them over and Blaze was just, man, he was like doing the flips and all the stuff in our pool. And you called it. You were like, you're going to hurt. Did you say you're going to hurt yourself
I
or
was
be
like,
careful?
watch out for that edge. Watch out for the
And he did that-
head on the edge. And he next minute he flipped and then hit the edge, his head on the edge. We all stood up like, oh, and he's like, I'm fine. I'm like, he's his
tough.
father's father's
He is
son.
tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Unfortunately, I've had more concussions than
Okay.
I can remember.
Okay.
And hopefully Blaze doesn't follow in the same path. Although
Same
that
path.
night he definitely did.
Yeah. That's awesome.
One of the things I loved about when we got together, get coffee, Ben, is I just what really amazed me about you and Lucille was how you guys have seen some of probably the coolest things the church world has ever seen. I mean, what you guys were able to accomplish, the influence, the impact that you guys have had on the world. I always tell people, I don't know if there's anyone alive that has impacted the landscape of the church world with the music, with the creative arts, with equipping really not just a church, but the church. Your guys' conference would have thousands of people every year in Sydney, and then in LA, and then in New York, and then in London. And the impact that your mom and dad have had on the world in the church. So seeing the best of the church world, and then also last few years seeing some of the worst things in the church world, and seeing how, how harsh and how just crazy the church can turn in on itself and hurt each other. And what I really loved about meeting and getting to know you, Ben, in the beginning is you saw the best and the worst in the worst, but you had this love, and it was like, you're like, I'm still in love with Jesus. I still believe in the church.
Yeah.
And I just always respected that so much about you and Lucille, is that you have such a heart to build the church, even now. You want to speak a little bit to that idea of just what made you love the church at such a young age and still love it today?
Yeah. I was one when my parents started the church. So born in 82, they planted the church in 1983.
It's a good year.
In the suburbs of, it's a good year. The suburbs of Sydney, which, to be honest, like at that time was just cow paddocks and horses and so on. And a small local church, just like the thousands of others, in a small public school hall. 40 people. I mean, I was a baby, but I watched our church grow through every stage and every season. I watched my parents just passionately love and lead the church. So much vision and passion and determination and resilience for the cause, being, the good news of Jesus Christ and his bride, the local church. I grew up in that. It was our entire lives. It has been my entire life. And, I think so often within church, there can sometimes be this expectation of perfection.
Yeah.
And, you'll hear people talk about things like this and maybe address it in certain aspects. But, the reason that God chose to outwork his plan through the local church, I don't exactly know, but it is his plan. It is his plan to reach humanity, to, create a little version of heaven on earth. And, I am blessed enough to be a part of a church that really saw everything. It is still so humbling. It's overwhelming. It doesn't make a lot of sense to think that our little church from the suburbs of Sydney, Australia, truly impacted every continent on this planet. I've been blessed enough over, the 40 years of my life to travel all over the world, and just to see the impact and the influence from our church. There's a side to that is absolutely incredible. It's a testament to the goodness and the grace of God. And with that, you also realize the amount of imperfections that exist, because at the end of the day, we are all human.
Yes.
And so I think having that sort of knowledge and having that sort of, I guess, framework to build upon, there has always been within me this grace to understand that we are called to a high calling, and that there is nothing greater than building the kingdom of God here on earth and reaching people with that transformational message that is the gospel of Jesus Christ. There is nothing better than that, but also, I guess, a grace and, I don't know, a patience in some senses, and an understanding that even in its imperfections, I'm not going to allow anything of a bitterness or anger or frustration to grab hold. I'm not saying those things don't come.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had these conversations, there is potential for bitterness always for absolutely everyone.
Yep.
Yeah.
There is potential to, get angry or this or that. But I don't want any of that to grab a hold of my heart, of my mind, of my spirit, of my thinking.
Right.
And it's been important to me to fight for that. It's been important to me to continue to trust in God, to believe in the local church, and do and give everything that I possibly can to help build that.
So good.
It's beautiful.
Well said. That's
So
well
good.
said.
So good. Oh my
Beautiful.
goodness. Yeah, we were talking this morning, and I think we didn't realize how special how we grew up was until we weren't in it.
Yeah.
It's like that was just the way of life. Like we met when we were teenagers in youth ministry and became best friends, and then obviously ended up falling in love. And it's actually going to be our 20th wedding anniversary next month.
20
which is
years.
just
Yay.
it's wild. But I think, to your point, seeing the beauty of like what the house of God can be, just imperfect people that love God, that want to make a difference on this earth, be Jesus' hands and feet to a broken and lost world, and doing life together. Like we saw it in its absolute beauty, not perfect, but his design for church in all the best ways, you know? And so I think we couldn't ever abandon that. Like we've seen too much, we know too much. We had a very real revelation of who God was to us. So when life happens and when, you know, when you say the yes to the call of God, you don't know the twists and turns it's going to take, but we really, even over the last few years, had to go, okay, what do we believe? Like, do we believe what we have been preaching all these years and what we've given our life to build? And the answer to that was yes, we do. So even being planted in the house of God, like we will forever be champions of the local church because we know it's God's plan for for reaching the world.
Yeah.
So
Oh, that's beautiful. Well, I have to say, it's just like when Mark and I first met you guys, just your story and how you love the local church, not just the local church, but the universal church. And so to see your guys' heart and to see what you guys have gone through, and you still love the church and you still want to build the church is beautiful, because that's Mark and I's heart too. Is I heard a quote, and I don't remember who it was, but they said that we're not called to build monuments, but to move the mission of the gospel forward, to push to move the gospel forward, and not just build monuments, and churches, not just about buildings, but about people.
Yeah.
And the fact that you both love people so well it's as soon as I met you, you could tell you instantly love people. I could tell that. And so Mark and I, that's our heart. It's just beautiful, your story, and to see how God's using you still to move that mission forward to the gospel of Jesus. And so we're just so grateful to do life with you guys. So it's beautiful.
It's awesome.
Beautiful.
We signed Ben up pretty quick
Yeah.
after you guys got on board.
Yeah.
We obviously started this initiative called Baptize California.
Yeah.
Started with Baptize SoCal, which was special. We did it here in Orange County, Pirates Cove, Pentecost Sunday 2023. And then obviously you guys were, I think you just started coming around that time.
Do you know that was actually the first Sunday that we came to Oceans
No
Church?
way.
It was
No
Baptized
way.
SoCal.
I didn't know
So
that.
I'd been coming to prayer a few times, the midweek prayer, Tuesdays, Thursdays, but that was the first Sunday. And I didn't think Lucille could make it, but I bought my daughters.
Yeah, you were up on the
and we
hill.
were on the cliff and just kind of
that's so cool.
watching it all from then.
That's
wild.
awesome.
Yeah, no, so that I didn't put all the dots together with that. I remember you guys being apart shortly around that time period. But yeah, we launched that Pentecost Sunday 2023, which is super special. And then fast forward a year, I think it was right before the year finished from that moment, that we had asked you, said, hey, Ben, we're building Baptize California, which will turn into Baptize America. You obviously know pretty much every pastor in the world. Why don't you come on board and just kind of help us, interact and connect with different churches? And so we asked you to join the team, and we had Baptize California, which was this year, just about, 4 months ago.
Incredible.
That's already gone by so fast. I went to Huntington Beach, saw about 19,000 people show up. We baptized 6,000 there, baptized another 6,000 in the state. Had about 1,000 churches participate, hosting it in churches in California. And it really was a sovereign thing. But I just wanted to, just for those watching, what that experience was like for you and Lucille. I know that your daughter got baptized that day at Huntington. We
So
baptized
special.
a ton of people. I know we had to go to the chiropractor afterwards, all the people that we baptized that day. But tell us about your guys' experience with Baptize California.
Yeah, it was such an amazing thing to be a part of. As I said, it was Baptized SoCal. Pirates Cove was kind of the first Sunday that we kind of came, and to catch and hear the vision after being a part of Oceans Church for quite a few months. And I'm not gonna lie, like Pastor Mark, like your vision when it came to this stuff, there's a side to me going, all right, I've been part of a lot of great things, right?
Yeah.
Like our church, our music, our so on. We've packed out some of the greatest arenas and stadiums and everything. I know what goes into pulling off these kind of events to, reach this kind of people. And I would hear your vision and heart. And there's a side to me, I'm like, my gosh, this just reminds me of a young Brian Houston. Just this crazy, audacious, faith-filled vision. And so, coming in and being a part of the team and being a part of I guess some of the planning and the organization, the prayer, the faith that went into it, and then seeing that thing come together was just such a special thing to be a part of. And, even on a personal note, I love Hillsong Church with my entire heart, and to see the fruit of what God had done, and then to find ourselves in a season of transition and, the confusion and some of the personal pain and so on that went along with that. But then to be a part of this thing on Huntington Beach, knowing that there was hundreds of churches as well also hosting baptisms, to be a part of seeing on one weekend over 12,000 people being water baptized, being blessed enough to be in the ocean and be there with those tanks at the front of the stage, and just hearing people's story and what Jesus means to them and what Jesus has done in their life, and being a part of just baptizing so many. It was such a significant moment. It felt so full circle in so many ways, but it also, I would say, ignited within me. I've always dreamed big dreams. I've always had big faith and vision within myself. And it's like it reignited something within my spirit and heart to be a part of something that is just so kingdom oriented. I absolutely love that so much of the heart behind it is to unify the body of Christ.
Yes.
We've seen that there are so many things that can bring division within church and within the body of Christ. And while we may disagree on a bunch of different things, we can agree on the fact that water baptism is a good thing.
Yes.
100%.
And so why can't we, the body of Christ, across denominations, across, brands of churches, or whatever you want to call it, we can come together to just see revival take place.
Yes.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know, Lucille, you share, but on a personal note, being able to baptize our Bailey love.
It was so special. First of all, it felt like straight out of the book of Acts. Like, it felt like revival. We were on the beach and you have people coming past, and then all of a sudden I'm seeing him in the mosh pit. I'm like, weren't you just sunbaking over there? I honestly, that will forever be a really special, significant weekend, because I saw that igniting in my husband as well. And all of our kids have had their own journey, and we've always talked about baptism, but we've always explained it in a way we want you to fully understand it. And Bailey Love was 11 at the time, and she decided I want to get baptized that weekend, and we're like, let's do it. And so I wasn't prepared emotionally for how special that moment was, because it was first of all, I just took it all in. We were in the ocean with her, and half the youth ministry was just up on the hill praying and cheering, and just having it feel yes, this is a big church with a huge vision, but these moments, this is what it's all about. You're seeing real people be impacted by the love of God in this such a real, tangible way. And that's our girl. It was just so special. And it's funny because we ended up, staying till late at night. And then every now and then, on the screen, one of my other daughters was like, is that dad? He was up here baptizing people, over there baptizing, he's back in the ocean. I'm like, dude, who are you? You're literally Aquaman right now, everywhere. And it was so funny because he was just on this holy high, and then the next day he woke up and he's like, why am I so sore? And we realized you probably felt the same. It's you're baptizing a lot of people, but what an honor to, I just felt it felt like such an honor to be a part of it. And the fact that the vision is not slowing down, it's getting bigger. I'm like, let's go. I feel like it's only crazy until somebody does it, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just so excited for all that's ahead. That will forever be a really special weekend to us, for sure.
Awesome.
It was so beautiful. I know I loved seeing Ben. I know I was
he was
watching,
everywhere, right?
He was
He was
everywhere,
everywhere,
baptizing. I'm like, it was awesome to see. It was just so cool. And then the fun part for me and Mark, I think, was seeing families, whole families getting baptized. And I remember going down to the ocean, and I think they were trying to film me for something. I don't know what it was for, but I literally had to put my glasses on. So I just lost it because there's so many, like this whole, group of people. And I think it was a whole family was going down there, and it was just little kids and their parents and then teenagers. And
So special.
it was so beyond special to even be a part of that and to see these people's lives forever changed. But I did love watching Ben all around, seeing him he was up at the tanks, and then he was also down at the
and almost
the
at the
ocean.
same time.
Yeah, at the same time. I'm like,
Wait.
wait, is there a twin? Like, how did he get from that point to But it was beautiful, and to see just Bailey getting baptized and all the things that was happening within Baptize California.
It's the best.
And so it was really special. What was your favorite part about Baptize California?
Man, that's a big question. I loved all of it. I loved seeing, people that were disabled, and we had these giant, tired wheelchairs, and we thought maybe we'd have a handful of people.
Yeah.
I think we had 5 of them that had the special sand tires on them, and I thought maybe we'll use them a couple times.
Yeah.
Our team said that from when we started the event to the very end, they were used. All 5 were used the entire time.
Wow.
Yeah.
So walked down there at one point. I think it might have been you, a bunch of guys carrying people that couldn't even walk into the water to get baptized.
Beautiful.
And it was beautiful. I was also terrified for a lawsuit.
The swell was real.
It got pretty big waves.
Yeah.
So that was unbelievable. Just the atmosphere of doing something about a public display of faith.
Yeah.
Right.
There's something about going to the public sector.
Yes.
I love worshiping God in churches, but when you're on a state beach with that many people and the critical mass is going after God, it does feel like biblical. It feels like biblical proportion of how in the world is there this many people all going after God in a place that normally we would go just get a suntan.
Right.
And so that was really awesome. There was just the high praise going up from the stage. The sound system was going all the way to the ocean. It was awesome. But I think my favorite part was the end of the night. Baptisms were kind of finished. Bethel Music was doing the last set. Some of the great pastors from our region, Pastor Andy Wood and Stacy, a lot of pastors all over Southern California drove in. My friend Adam Mesa came all the way from Rancho Cucamonga.
Yeah.
They baptized 1,000
Exactly.
people, over 1,000 at their church.
Wow.
Yeah.
He did 20 services that weekend. He baptized a bunch, and then he got in his car afterwards, drove an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And there's all these pastors that came, and we all just kind of came towards the side stage. We're all going after God, and I looked over and I saw all of our kids.
Yes.
And that moment hit me. My Chloe was, I think, just turned 9 years old, and she's with all of her little church buddies. And to your point, Lucille, I had this epiphany in that moment. I'm like, oh my gosh, they are going to think this is normal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm 40 years old. It took me 40 years to see this.
Yeah.
And I thought, you're seeing this at 9 years age,
Yeah.
nine years of
That's
age.
so powerful.
And I just think when that reality set in, I'm like, man, if what we're seeing now is incredible to us and it's normal to them,
Yeah.
what does that say about what's possible
Let's go.
in the next 40, 60, 80 years
Yeah.
when our ceiling is their floor?
Yeah.
And so that hit me hard. And I'm just like, that is the weirdest thought to think that 19,000 people, 6,000 getting baptized on a Sunday afternoon is just, that's what we do.
Yes.
That's
Incredible.
what our church does.
Yeah.
So that made me happy. Went home
Yeah.
happy from that thought.
Yeah. And then my parents, you tapped me, and my parents came into town, and they just were living their best life.
They've been praying for that their whole
They've
life.
been
Yeah.
praying for that. My mom was the mom that would wake me up every Sunday. She's like, revival's here, Rachelle. And so she was just, both my parents were beaming and worshiping, and my mom was kind of doing like a Trump dance. I don't know. Or was it my dad? I don't know. It was like
it was
the
your
funny
mom.
dance.
Yeah, the funny, yeah,
like
like,
this
yeah.
dance. So, but literally that, like our kids, and then with Bailey, you guys, and then my parents seeing what God was doing through California. I remember when we were moving to California, and they're like, "Are you sure you want to?" We're from Idaho, right? And so they're like, "Are you sure you want to move to California?" And for them to see what God has done.
Amen. Yeah.
It was just like, you guys were supposed to be here.
Yeah.
And this is why you were called here.
Your dad says one of his favorite Sundays of his whole life.
Of his whole life. He said, God could take me home right now and I would be great.
Blessed.
It wasn't that beautiful.
Well, it's like he was seeing things that they've prayed for years.
For years.
And our kids are like, that's what we do. And it's going to be even bigger next year. It's like, I love that. But also, like, it's important to see that progression of what God's done and those years of sowing those prayers, and we get to stand on their shoulders and they get to stand on our shoulders. It's like, that's what
it was
God's
beautiful.
design is, you know.
I know. So they were just like beaming and like saying how proud they were of all of our team and everybody. And so that was a really special moment, I think, as well. So, but I'm looking forward to Baptize America.
June 8th, ladies and gentlemen.
It's coming to your state.
Buckle
so be a
up.
part of it.
Sign the church up.
Yes. Well, Lucille, you're such a super mom. You are an incredible mom. How do you balance quality time with all of your kids? And you're a part of ministry, our church. And what would you say would be some tips for maybe some younger moms? Yeah.
I love being a mom. I have the conviction, and I've had it for years, that being a mom is not separate to my calling. It's a part of my calling.
It's really good.
And it's like a high calling, to be honest with you. And I mean, it's definitely not easy. We have 4 kids, and that just straight up, like, I'm outnumbered straight away out the gate. So it's not easy, but I will say that I think the fruit of what we've seen over the years of pouring into them, not just like separately, but showing them by the way that we live. You know, Ben almost every morning is up in his word, and the kids just come downstairs and they see that and they know that, you know, that's what Dad does. And sometimes they'll pull up, you know, have breakfast next to him and do the same. It's like that speaks more volumes than sometimes like telling them all day, like, this is what you should do. So I think we realize like how we live, if we want them to like love God, like let's show them firsthand what that looks like. But as in terms of like pouring into them individually, like you do have to be intentional and realizing that your kids are so different and unique. Like Blaze right now, he is so into skating and I love him for it. But like, I don't want to go hang out at a skate park, you know, but I do that. Like I pick him up from school and I go at like the
Blaze
less
is into
busiest.
everything, by the way.
Oh, he is.
Every day
And
it's
thank
like,
you
let's
for that,
go
because
fishing,
he
let's
is
go
like your
skating,
mini.
let's go. I mean, anything and everything.
But we prayed for, you know, our son. We prayed him into being, I feel like. And so for us, it's like understanding that the things that our kids are passionate about are not by accident.
Right.
So not just recognizing that, but actually spending time pouring
So
into
good.
that with them. I think we've been really intentional with that over the years to where, like I said, I'll go to the skate park with Blaze and I'll sit there and I've got the snacks, but I'm like, great, bud. And he's like, that wasn't great. I'm like, it looked great to me. Like, you know, just being interested in what matters to them. I think sometimes we have an idea of what we want to get our kids into, or like, you know, we want our kids to love the house of God and we want our kids to like do the sports that we kind of grew up on sometimes, but just understanding that they have their own unique gifts and talents straight from God, separate to us or anything that we can like influence them on. So we definitely have intentional time to pour into each of them, and they know that we protect time together as well. And sometimes at night, if we haven't had like time to go out on a date, we're like, Mum and Dad are going to go spend some time together upstairs. You guys watch a movie and then put yourselves to bed. And like, that's normal in our house. So I think it's like that balance of going, they know that they mean so much to us, but they know that we also mean so much to each other, you know, separate to them. And I think in the early years of ministry, I realized that I can't play one thing against the other. I can't play church time against family time. It just has to be this bowl of spaghetti, that this is our life. This is what God's called to us to. And if he's called us to it, he's going to grace all of us. It's not just us doing this and you guys coming along. But I really do feel like it is a decision to go, I'm bringing the family along. And that doesn't mean you're at every single thing. It just means having this kind of conviction that, we are building the house of God together as a family, and our kids, they love ocean. I mean, I always like apologize to like kids sleeps. I'm like, if you've had Blaze, I love you. I'm sorry if he's swinging from the ceiling somewhere, but they have this ownership that's really beautiful. And I think they've seen that we've had that ownership, and they're like, okay, I guess this is the house of God for
Yeah.
us too. So
That's awesome.
I don't even know if that answered your question, but as far as like intentionally pouring into them, it does, like, you have to literally sit and plan your week sometimes, and we'll go back and forth, and thank God Ben is such a hands-on dad, and where he spends a lot of time with the kids, but I think it's all important to like make them feel like you're on the calendar.
Yes.
Like I'm making time for you, you know?
Good.
So
Very good.
Yeah. You guys do so well with that. And so I like see that. So I wanted to ask you that question because I feel like you're such an incredible example, both of you guys, parents. And so you guys are huge, like people over project. You love people really well. And so I know you guys have done so much ministry. Like, what would you say, how do you, when you have big projects, we're doing Baptize California, we're doing all the things, and you guys have done all the stuff with Hillsong. How do you prioritize people over projects, would you say? Just with, in general, like maybe,
Yeah, I would say it's the very core of why we exist.
Yes.
If people are in ministry, I can't think we could ever lose sight of
People.
what ministry is, like why we do that. I'm so grateful to have grown up in the family that I did. I'm so grateful to be a part of the church that I've been a part of. And, yes, there is mission. Yes, there is task. Yes, there are things that we, require so much work, more than anyone would ever know. But if we lose sight of what it's all about, we're kind of missing the point. And so it's something that I kind of want to ground myself in and ground myself in the why, and not just get lost in the task, not just get lost in the to-do list. Why we're doing this. And, I've been blessed enough, just like you guys, I've been blessed enough to see the fruit of what happens when a real person encounters a real God who loves them so much. The transformation, the miracles, the things that we can't even explain in our logic or anything, just the goodness of God, the faithfulness. When you see those things, it drives you so much. And I think what can sometimes happen for people in ministry is you see those things and you celebrate them, but we are like continuing to move forward and run ahead. And sometimes we lose sight of that, And so I think being grounded in what it's all about, the why behind, reminding ourselves of that always, but then just never losing sight of the great things you've seen God do in people's lives. It's just, it's beautiful. It's special. It's humbling. It's an honor to be a part of. And I think that would be, the thing that grounds me in that.
So thank you for joining us on this episode of The Collective Talk, where we shared reflections on the church. Stay tuned for future episodes of The Collective Talk, where we dive into topics of prayer, family, and ministry.